think I'm gonna start.
Mhm.
So, hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fourth day of our Train the Trainers program. Today, we're bringing you a reference example that will put together the pieces you've learned about in the past few days, and it will be brought to you by Rajiv Rajani from iShare and Dennis Ventland from Fireware. Rajiv will start, and as yesterday, please leave your questions in the questions section. Um, and Dennis's party might try to answer them during his presentation. And of course, feel free to hang out in the lounge during the break and after the session. And yeah, enjoy. Now I give the floor to Rajiv.
Thank you, Sharifa. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Today we will see. So far we learned the components of Trust, how what they are in detail, and today we will see how they all come together with an example, reference example. So let's start. Um, So today's session is mainly about, we'll explain, of course, we'll have a short recap of the roles that we have in Trust, and the components that we have in Trust. We introduce you to a reference example, and explain how it all comes together. And then, of course, we'll also demonstrate how they are working in real example, right? So a quick recap: the architecture of data space, the data consuming and data providing side are the parties who are interested in exchanging data, and there are service providers who enable them in sharing the data in a secure and trusted manner. And when they all come together and form a data space, it for a common purpose, they can form a data space, and you also need a governance for it to also provide the trust and further. Again, roles in the data space, as I explained, trust provider enables the trust in the data space. The parties who are interested in exchanging data use those services, and they come and make common agreements together. And on the bottom you see the service providers, that are these are the key service providers which enable data exchange in any data space, right? And of course, in Trust, those components are already available for you to implement and use them, and make them fit in a solution based on the use case. So let's jump into the use case of this reference example. So the use case goes like this: there is a package delivery company who wishes to offer its various services in digital manner to improve or to enhance its customer experience. And it wants to automate as much as possible its processes, so that its customers could benefit, and it could also benefit from the efficiencies of digitalization. So we have two e-commerce companies which are part of this use case. The first e-commerce company is, it wants to really improve its shopping experience of its customer by providing very flexible delivery services, and also provide better customer services, so that employees also could throw in some perks when there are clients to whom they want to serve. And there is another e-commerce website which is a bargain website. So it wants to just it is just looking for a package delivery company who is cost effective and efficient, and it just does the work for that. So this is the use case. We'll see how in Trust we can solve all challenges. So first, of course, we introduce you to the participants of the use case. The first participant is, of course, the packet delivery company with the name packet delivery company. and it provides services of delivering parcels, and as I mentioned, it wants to improve its services with digitalization. So it wants to offer its offerings online, so that customers who are looking for package delivery services, they could actually procure them electronically, without going to the office of the packet delivery company, and choose the service which suits best their needs. So right now, in the use case, the packet delivery company offers two kind of delivery services. One is standard packet delivery, which is just a basic cost-effective delivery, and gold packet delivery, where it is a premium delivery, where it allows its customers to also it's a bit flexible in terms of the planning dates and the of the delivery. So once if you are a member of gold packet delivery, then you can also change, say for example, the planned date of arrival, or estimated date of arrival, or even change the address for example, even after the order has been placed. So those kind of flexibility is possible only with gold package delivery. Here there are some details about what this company has to implement in terms of the components of IFO Trust. So because it is in the role of data provider, and in depending on which part of the use case you are, it can also become data owner. But as a data provider, it of course has to implement context broker. It needs identity provider for its own employees, so that they can identify themselves when connecting to other participants like marketplace, for example. It also hosts, or it also needs an authorization provider, so that it can store the procured authorizations, as we will see in the demonstration. Then it will be more clear. And of course, it needs a portal application, where its customers or customer of their customers can log in and update or track their parcels, or update the expected delivery times. um, the orders here we use, they map to the digital twin entities, which was introduced to you already. And as I explained, the gold users can change these parameters of an delivery. This is just a brief overview of the offering from the package delivery company. As I just explained, in the standard, it just delivers the package in like 48 hours if it is in the same country, or international packages are delivered within a week. Um, yeah, and of course, once it is planned, the users cannot change, the customers cannot change the planned date of arrival, or time, or address, for example. But that is possible only via the gold package delivery. So gold package delivery, of course, serves everything that is there in standard, but on top of it, it allows more flexible delivery options. The next participant is Happy Pets Inc. That's an e-commerce for pet products. In this use case, it plays the role of data consumer and data owner, of course, depending on the step where it is. And of course, then it needs the components. So it has the identity providers, one for its own employees, so that it can identify themselves when they are connecting to other participants. And it also uses authorization registry. As I have explained, the authorization registry or authorizations provider is a role, and every participant can choose to implement one by themselves, or they can reuse a third-party service. Same goes for identity provider. And another component, of course, that they need is the e-commerce website, or the and the backend behind it, the system application. Happy Pet Inc. is the one that wanted to provide better customer experience and flexible delivery options. So it acquires a gold offering from package delivery company. and how does it do that automatically, or in an automated way and online. That is what we will see later on. But that fits the gold package delivery offering fits well with the requirements of Happy Pets Inc. Right. Of course, then Happy Pet Inc. also provides two types of services to its customers. They have a concept called Prime customers. Prime customers only get the benefits of the gold delivery, and the regular customers of its e-commerce website, they don't get the advantage of gold delivery flexibility. So there are, of course, two types of customers that it can serve, right? The next participant is the No Cheaper Inc. It's another e-commerce which sells bargain products at bargain prices. It also plays the role of data consumer, data owner, depending on which step you are in the use case. And of course, the components are similar to the previous e-commerce participant. It needs an identity provider, it needs an authorization registry, and it has its own application. And No Cheaper, because it just wants to provide standard delivery service, it just acquires the standard delivery service from package delivery company. So these are the participants. Now, based on the roles in I4Trust, how this all play together, we have additional participants. Like in this example, we are using iShare provided satellite, which is in their test environment. It plays the role of the trust provider in the network. So it enables, or it maintains the list of the participants in this data space, and it provides you with additional information about the participants and its status as well. Right. And another enabler in this space is the I4Trust marketplace, which of course we learned about it yesterday. It plays the role of the marketplace. This is where the package delivery company can publish its offering, so that the e-commerce websites could actually browse it on the marketplace and compare it with other providers and choose the best offering that suits them. So in this example, the package delivery company publishes its offering, and it basically creates two offering. One is the standard and the gold. So it's the basic and the premium, and it can have different pricing attached to it. And of course, the marketplace supports various business models, as we had seen yesterday. So going back into the I4Trust role model and mapping these examples, as I mentioned, there are the roles that are played by each participant. So iShare Satellite is, of course, on the trust provider side. The data consumers are No Cheaper and Happy Pets on one end. Data provider is the package delivery company, and data owner, depending on the step in the use case, can be No Cheaper, Happy Pets, or package delivery company. Marketplace is played by the I4Trust marketplace instance. And identity provider, you can see this, all three participants are listed here, but they are grayed out. This is to emphasize again that they can either implement their own instance, or they can choose existing certified third-party providers. So in our example, they all implement their own instances, but in real life they can also choose existing services. Same goes on the authorizations provider. These three participants, they are again grayed out here. It's again to make the emphasis that they can implement it themselves, or they have to choose a third-party service. In our example, they have implemented it themselves. Yeah. So the overall architecture of of this use case then is so on the top left you see the IFA Trust Marketplace, which has its own components. These are the components that enable the marketplace functioning, and as you can see that there is a logic proxy which does the main work on connection when connecting to the other participants, and there are sub components like charging backend which can be used for logging the transactions, and depending on the business model you want to charge the customer on per transaction or on a particular set of transactions or things like that. Those kind of logic can be provided via charging backend, for example. And on the bottom you can see both the participants with the similar set of components, as I was explaining, that they have chosen to implement their own components for identity provider and authorization registry. So that's on that. And then you have on the right top you have the package delivery company. As you can see, it has implemented the context broker, which does which brings the intelligence in the use case to provide the data that is being asked, and it does the specific checks that are required along with it, and that is supported by the web proxy, which web proxy and authorization registry, which determines authorizations to be used. It has its own identity provider as well for its own employees, and of course it also has a portal, a user interface for human to machine flows, so that employees or customers of these participants can use that portal to interact with them. And last but not least is at the bottom you see the trust provider, the Azure Satellite, which lists all this participant, and every other participant can verify if the other participant is member of this data space or not, right? But this will be more clear as we see the live demonstration. All right, so this is the overview, and well, there are just basically 3 steps in demo. We already saw how to create the offering yesterday, and today we start already with creating an offering, or so once a packet delivery company makes the offerings in place on the marketplace, the No Cheaper or Happy Pets could acquire those offerings. So we'll see that in the steps, and then once they have acquired it, how it enables them to directly connect to package delivery company and get either get the details of the package, so like for example the track and trace information, or for gold delivery offerings, it can also allow either the employees or the customer to update some of the parameters of the delivery. So that we will see now in the demo, and I hand it over to Dennis.
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. Also, welcome from my side. I'm Dennis Wendland from Fiber Foundation, and now I will show a demo of the use case that Rajiv has presented, and afterwards there will be a short break, and then we will go into the technical details and what happens behind the scenes of this demo. So I will share my screen now, which you can hopefully see. So Rajiv already presented the 3 steps involved in this use case of creating an offering, acquiring an offering, and also consuming the service in the end. And maybe let's move some steps forward and start with the last step, actually. So now, assuming I'm a customer of Happy Pets, so for the simplicity of this demo and to shorten the time a bit, that customer of Happy Pets has already registered at Happy Pets and has already ordered something, and now there's actually a delivery order for him at this packet delivery company. And now let's see what happens when this customer wants to try to access its delivery order. So for this, what you can see here is now a simple demo application of such packet delivery portal. I can now log in using the IDPs of the different shop systems. So I'm choosing the one from Happy Pets now, forwarded to the identity provider system, and logging in now as one of their customers. And what I try now is to access a specific delivery order. This is actually the delivery order associated to this customer, the ID of the delivery order, and now try to retrieve information. As you can see, there's now an error which is actually coming from the PEP proxy in front of the context broker saying, okay, I'm not allowed to access this. This is expected since so far Happy Pets didn't acquire any offering, and actually also there is no offering from Packet Delivery Portal which Happy Pets could acquire. So now let's first start with the first step. This is a marketplace. There are already some offerings from different companies, and Rajiv already introduced the two offering types from packet delivery, the basic one and the premium one. As you can see, there is already the basic one, which I already created to save some time now, but let's now go through the steps for creating the premium offering for the packet delivery portal. So I'm signing in now. I can also choose the identity provider I want to use. And since I'm now an employee of this packet delivery company, I'm choosing their identity provider. And now I'm logging in as an employee. So now I'm logged in. As you can see, there are some more options now. And important is section My Stock now. As you can see, there's already a catalog created, which is also what you have already seen yesterday in the presentation from Francisco. And what I'm starting now is next to this basic product specification to create an additional one for the premium offering. For this, I'm entering the information here. Also prepared a short description. And let's give it also some version number. It's no bundle. Now the important step is now, yes, this is a digital product, and now I have to choose the actual asset type, and it's an NGS ILD data service, since in the back we have the context broker, which is actually providing the service. And now I need to fill in the data for this offering. And taking this, that's the actual endpoint. As you can see, it's pointing to Umbrella, which is the actual PEP proxy, so which is protecting the access. Currently, there's small validation currently that you can't use the same asset area URL again. This will be fixed very, very soon. So I need to put some additional slashes there. I need to provide the ID of the authorization registry of the packet delivery company. In our setup now, we are using a central instance provided from iShare, and that's their ID. I'm allowing GET requests. I need to add the endpoint of the authorization registry. The type of the entities which can be accessed is of delivery order. For the GET requests, I'm allowing to access any information. And what I'm also allowing now for this premium service is to do patch requests, because the customers in the end can also actually change certain attributes. And this is what I can specify here. I'm restricting it now to the planned time and planned date of arrival, But of course, one could also extend it here now for the delivery address, for instance. And the last option here is the duration. This is actually how long the policy after the acquisition of the offering is valid. I'm setting it now just to half an hour, so just for this demo now. Of course, for an unlimited access, you would put something very far in the future. Okay, this can be skipped. So let's add a picture, which is what will be shown then in the marketplace offering. Can also be skipped. And now there is our product specification for the packet delivery premium service. Also setting it now to launched. So all steps as you have already seen yesterday. And you can also see the different characteristics I've specified. Okay, now the second thing to do is to create additionally an offering now based on this premium service. This is what I'm doing next. And just copying it now. This is what's actually then now shown to the end users of the marketplace, which want to acquire certain offerings. I'm putting some description here, but of course there's a place where you can add any type of business description as you want. No bundle. Now I need to select the actual product specification, which this offering is based on, which will be the premium service product I just created a minute before. And I'm putting this into this packet delivery catalog, which was already created. Let's just choose some license. SLA we can skip for now. And of course, this is a premium offering. Packet delivery company wants to get some money for this. So let's add a price plan. For instance, saying, okay, that's a monthly payment, so recurring. And let's say that costs 800 euros per month for the company which is actually acquiring this offering. Of course, I could also choose a one-time payment or also pay-per-usage price plan. You can also put some description here. Created. As you can see, I could even add additional price plans so that the acquiring organization can actually choose, maybe for instance, whether to pay monthly or to pay per use. But let's stick to the monthly payment. Choosing this default revenue sharing model. And that's it. And now the offering is created. So I need to set it to launched. And when I'm getting back to the home page, you can see this offering is now listed. Okay, that's the steps for the packet delivery company for creating an offering. I'm logging now out. And now let's basically log in again, but now I'm taking place of an employee of the Happy Pets company, which actually wants now to acquire this premium offering in order to allow their users to access and also change their delivery orders. So I'm logging in as an employee of Happy Pets. I'm now was forwarded to the identity provider of Happy Pets. And now I'm seeing the different offerings provided. I just see I've put the wrong description, but it's a premium offering. And as you can also see from the characteristics, there's the actual patch permission, which allows the customers in the end to change their attributes. Now I'm adding this to my cart. Also, as if you've seen yesterday, you need to agree on the terms and conditions and choose a price plan, which is actually just the one I've set for this 800 euros monthly payment. Adding this to my cart. Now let's check out. So I'm forwarded now to PayPal. As actually you can see, it's the sandbox from PayPal, so it's not my real money. I can proceed. I'm using my Visa card now to confirm this 800 euro payment per month. Okay, that's it. So now this offering has been acquired. Maybe we can have a look now what happened now at the authorization registry of the packet delivery company. So I'm choosing, going now to the authorization registry. As I said, we are using a central instance. But I'm logging in now to the account for the packet delivery company. And to add the two-factor code. And what happened now in the background is that there was now a policy created at the registry issued by a packet delivery company to Happy Pets, stating they're now allowed to do patch requests on these attributes of the planned date and time of arrival on entities of type delivery order, and also to do GET requests on the full entities. And as you can see here, because that's the validity for the policy, that's the actual half an hour I've set where this policy is now valid. So next thing to show, because now just Happy Pets has acquired this offering, but also their customers needs to get the not fully logged out now. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Okay. Now I'm completely logged out. Sorry for that. Now I'm logging into the authorization registry of Happy Pets. Also needing two-factor code now. As you can see here, there are already two policies, which is what I've created before. This is something that would be created now when the customer now signs up at the shop of Happy Pets and then maybe chooses their Prime offering. And see if I pick the right one. No. And then what Happy Pets needs to do is then within their own authorization registry to add a policy where the issuer is actually the Happy Pets company issuing the policy to the actual customer, which has some ID within the identity provider system, and also delegating to them the access on these patch requests, on these certain attributes, and the get requests on the full entities. And there's also a second customer user I've created, which is one that actually just registered with a standard offering of, at Happy Pets. And this one will only be allowed to view his delivery orders, but not to do any changes on them. Okay, then let's get back to the portal of the packet delivery company and log in again. I'm still logged in, and this customer I'm logged in now is the one with the premium account, so he should be allowed to view his delivery orders, but also to change his delivery orders. So now let's try again to request this delivery order, what I've done in the beginning, and now as you can see, access is granted because on the one hand, the Happy Pets organization has acquired the offering and the Happy Pets organization has delegated the access to this customer. And now also let's see whether we can change something. So maybe let's change the planned day of arrival to the 10th of October. Now it was sending the patch request and the get request again, and as you can see now, this day of arrival has changed, and we can also do the same for the time. And as you can see, this has changed. Another thing, what was done here for the policy delegated to the customer is that he's not actually allowed to view or change all entities, but just a specific one, which is actually the one I've just shown, which we have just seen. So, which means if this user is now trying to access another entity because there's another delivery order with a 2 in the end, which is associated to the other user, and now trying to retrieve this information, this is also denied because this customer is not allowed to access. But I can log in again now, being this standard customer, which is the one not allowed to do patch requests. Now he should be allowed to access this second delivery order, because I can also show again, that's policy for the second user, which has only the get permission, and for this entity ID with the 2 in the end. And now when this customer is trying now to change something on this order, also access is denied as expected. Okay, that's basically about Happy Pets. Maybe what I can also show now is the steps for No Cheaper. So I'm logging in again now, being an employee of the No Cheaper company. It's also an employee user here. And this No Cheaper company is just acquiring the basic offering. That means that only get permissions are assigned, but no patch requests. So their customers are not allowed to change anything on their delivery orders. Also checking out. As you can see, there's no price plan because this offering is offered for free. but I still need to check out in order that the processes in the background can take place for creating the necessary policies at the authorization registries. So that's it. Now NodeSheepa has acquired the offering, and now let's log in now as a customer of NodeSheepa. And there are also two different ones, a standard one, and to the other one I will come afterwards. But now let's check whether this user can see his delivery order. Yes. So this NodeSheepa customer can also view his delivery order, but now when trying to change something, this should be denied because this customer is not allowed. Let's log out again. Now let's go to the authorization registry of NodeSheepa. For this, I need to log out here again. Yes. To provide the code. It's the wrong one. So for the user what I've just showed, the standard user that was delegated access to this delivery order for GET requests, and actually also on the packet delivery company registry, the policy issued to NodeSheepa only contains policies allowed to do these GET requests. But of course, now NodeSheepa could just for a specific user, so there's a second one, NodeSheepa could just assign now on their own authorization registry that this user is also allowed to do patch requests. Although NodeSheepa didn't acquire this offering, and actually the packet delivery company, there is no policy issued to NodeSheepa allowing them to delegate this patch request. So let's see what happens now when such a user, which is allowed from NodeSheepa to do patch requests, although NodeSheepa itself is not allowed to delegate these patch requests. So I'm logging in now. And for this, I have this GT customer, which is now, of course, allowed to access his delivery order. And now with his policy stating that he's actually allowed to do this, although NodeSheepa never was granted access to do patch requests, he's now trying to do this. And also this is captured by the PEP proxy because it's also checking at the packet delivery authorization registry whether actually NodeSheepa was assigned this policy. Okay, basically that's for the demo. I think Rajiv, there was a last slide you wanted to show.
Yeah, just a second.
I need to stop sharing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed the demo. And of course, we wanted to also come up with practical exercise for you. Well, there are options that you can do. One is you can come up with your own use case, maybe something that you are already working with some SMEs, or you can create your own. Alternatively, you can also refer to a practical exercises presentation, which this is a clickable link, so you can. It's also on our GitHub. That presentation, there are some sample use cases there. You can either choose those and try to solve them as similar to what we just created as a solution. And you can present us the architecture and the flowchart explaining your solution. And I guess with the next session, Dennis will also give a technical deep dive into this whole use case demonstration. So you can also, all the technical people can also try to develop a POC of that use case. And that is from our end. Of course, you can reach to us either with the question sections or Q&A session that we have tomorrow and the next Friday. And of course, we are always available to be reached at DH Working Space Group, and we do encourage you to post questions or any queries that you might have there. I think this was primarily it for today. Right? Yeah.
Thank you, Rajiv and Dennis. We already have 2 questions. Can you see them, or should I read them out loud?
What is this? Questions, chat, questions, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the policy expiration time versus the acquisition date, what does the 30-minute apply to? Yeah, when this policy gets created, the actually acquisition time is the starting date of the policy, and these 30 minutes gets added to this for the expiration time. This is basically just something we've added now for showcasing the demo, so that these policies are not valid anymore after this short time. Otherwise, you would need to delete them every time you want to present such demo again. For real case use scenario, I would think you will just set something in 500 years or something like that, so that it's just valid forever. Okay, is there a way to customize the i4Trust marketplace interface? Yes, of course. So this i4Trust marketplace is just based on this business API ecosystem you've seen yesterday. And this business API ecosystem has also the capabilities to include themes. And basically using these themes, you can change the look and feel by changing the CSS style sheets, but even you could also change the whole layout and everything as you like. And would it be feasible to just use Context Broker to share data between organizations or divisions of same organization without the use of the marketplace? Of course, you can share Context Broker data to everyone, basically, because the Context Broker itself does not have any access management system. That's why we've put this PEP and PDP proxy in front. The function of the marketplace is just now to allow to federate the access via this PEP proxy and using the authorization registries among different organizations.
Yeah, maybe I will add something. Yeah, of course. So marketplace is used for discovery of offerings. It's not, of course, mandatory to use marketplace. If you already know which participants want to exchange data, you can directly connect to each other, and you can use the context broker to make that connection and share the data. Marketplace is more towards making it offering available in the market or for data monetization and those purposes. I hope that answers your question.
I see that Juanjo has raised his hand.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hand him the mic.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. Well, was was precisely to elaborate that the marketplace service is something that is not going to be mandatory for experiments to participate, because actually, if the two parties know each other already, they would be able to exchange using NGS-ILD. However, the marketplace service is useful because there might be cases where a given organization wishes to offer data without not knowing necessarily who is going to use that data in advance. And that is something that you will see in the guidelines for applicants of the open call. It's something we will value in experiments, and will be kind of a bonus when scoring potential experiment applications. An experiment where somehow we may have parties that are offering data they own, and this is data that then other parties can take advantage of to improve their process and so on, is something which would be nice to see as experiments, and that requires, of course, that the one that is capable to provide the data find the incentives to do so, and this is the reason why a marketplace service where they can offer that data and make it may be able to monetize the data might be relevant. Of course, open data might also apply here, and when you offer open data, you may not need to put a price on that, but still you may have some terms and conditions you wish to enforce, and that is also something meaningful to consider. And last but not least, a bit related to the question about personalization of the marketplace themes and so on. One thing that is also important to highlight is that, of course, there is nothing that prevents you to deploy the marketplace and run your own marketplace service because it's open source and that's feasible. But in general terms, in the context of the I4Trust project, we are going to provide a global I4Trust marketplace service that the experiments can use. So you will not, or experiments will not need to deploy their own marketplace instance. They can do so because there is nothing that prevents that, and perhaps for their particular use case it's meaningful, but you will not be required to do so. Yeah.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Juanjo. We have two more questions from Gianni. Yeah, the first one is, would it be feasible to, the first one is, can rules be created and edited also without the marketplace GUI?
Yes, of course. So the marketplace is now automating that part, and it is creating the rules via the API at the package delivery company, for example, in this case. But it is something that authorizations provider can also provide in the UI, depending on how the rules you want to be created. So there could be a UI specifically created for the use case, considering what kind of language you use there and what kind of attributes you want to capture. On top of it, as I previously explained, authorizations provider is a role which can depend on either a policy database, so there you define this policy, or you can also derive authorizations based on transactional data. For example, you have an ERP system or transaction management system or any other backend system where you say, for example, track orders, or you process orders, and you already have the participants of that order who is handling what part of that order, and based on that you can also determine on the fly the authorizations that are needed. So that definition is something that authorization provider has to provide as a service, or an organization who wish to use that can also implement themselves. I hope that is that answers your question.
Hope so too. There's another one, which is, are there more usage control measures intended to be implemented? Access 10 times depend on other access relevant attributes like location and time.
I think, I don't know, maybe our chief can comment, but I don't know, because this would be something to be stored in these policies that, for instance, access only allowed 10 times.
Yes, so there are, I think, two parts to it. One is there is a possibility to control the usage via the licenses. So in the policy, you can see there is a license tag where you can attach a license tag, which in a data space or in the trust framework, it means the same thing for everyone. So you can compare it to the open source software licenses, like the GNU license or Apache license, or those kind of licenses that we have. Similarly, in what iShare brings is there are usage licenses that are predefined. And you can also add new licenses as a member of the data space, but those licenses are agreed by everyone, that okay, this is the terms of the usage. So that is one part in the legal sense, that once you attach a license to data before sharing it, the receiving party has to oblige by that. The second part, of course, can be the technical implementation, and that can be implemented by the consuming party in the software and get it certified. So, but that's right now not something that iForTrust by automatically provides, I guess, because it to some extent it depends on the use case. So every use case might have different usage control requirements. So there is no one bullet that fits all kind of solution, but it is possible, definitely. I hope that answers your question. Cannot? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ajif. One more question. Are presented form fields / API functions somewhere extensively documented for future reference?
Yes, everything is documented. All APIs are documented, and also documentation of this whole use case we have set up is also provided.
And I think the next session is a bit on the technical deep dive of the use case. So Dennis will explain the technical implementation as well of the use case, and of course everything is open source, so you can find it on GitHub as well.
Thank you. Next question. For the practical exercises, is the sandbox implementations of the iForTrust components described by Juanjo will be already available, or is it only for the selected projects of the open call?
Good question.
So if you allow me to respond that question,
Yeah.
there is actually a cluster where, among other things, the marketplace service is going to be hosted and for use by experiments. But in principle, the participants that take place in an experiment are supposed to bring their environments where they will be hosting the context broker, API umbrella, Kiro components that they need to place to, let's say, participate in a data space. It is not the intention to let's say, provide an environment for hosting the experiments, but organizations applying to the open call are expected to to come up with their own environment where they the different participants may host the software needed to implement the data exchange, and as mentioned, the marketplace service would be available for them to use. But the idea is that each participant in the experiment should bring their own environment.
Yeah. And maybe I'll add something. I think for the DHs who are right now present in IFOTrust, I think we can also provide the access to our sandbox that we are demonstrating right now to them, if that's necessary, right?
Yeah, I mean, for testing a bit and play with the example, yes, but even for the exercise we want to run, we would recommend them to use their own environment for doing so. Of course, and I understand in that respect, it will be iShare Foundation who has to provide the means. They may wish to use the iShare satellite services, no?
Yeah.
For that, we have to implement a way to also give them access to that service, because that would be required for the identity and access management components to be able to work.
Yeah. So I think that was explained by Alvaro yesterday, that you can send a request for all the test participants you want to create in the satellite. Then I can arrange that. But of course, you can also implement satellite later on when its open source code is available. But for testing, you can already use the existing instance that is there.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more questions, we can go into the break. I would say we can come back at 10:15, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See you after the break. Okay, we are back. Welcome back, everyone. Now I will give the floor to Dennis to carry on with giving us the technical details of the example we just presented. Please, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks. So now let's have a detailed look at the example in the demo I've shown before. I will start with a short overview again. Actually, mostly the same as Rajiv also already showed, but let's go through this again, and then showing what were the actual prerequisites, and so what had to be done before, and then afterwards have a detailed look what actually happens behind the scenes during these different steps of the creation of an offering, the acquisition of an offering, and finally the accessing the service. And at the end of the session, I want to show a bit how to set up all these components and to do the deployments on a Kubernetes cluster. So then let's start with the overview again. So what I showcased is a use case of showing the delegation of the access rights for data service within the trusted data space. And what we've seen is that there was a delegation from the access rights from an organizational level to a user level. And especially what's important for that is that the actual service provider, which was this packet delivery company here, does not need to know anything about the final users or customers that were accessing the service, but just needs to know which organizations were granted access to the service, and then allowing these customers to access the service. So service provider was this packet delivery company providing the service to view and change the delivery orders. Then we have seen there were two different retailers, e-commerce shops that acquired the service offerings that the packet delivery company has created on the iForTrust marketplace. And there were these customers that were finally accessing the packet delivery portal service to view and change their delivery orders. And what also happened in the background were several interactions with the trust authority in the background to validate the different organizations between each request. So about the packet delivery company again, shown that this providing service now for its packet delivery orders. Delivery orders actually an entity within the context broker and has parameters like an issuer and destiny of the order, origin and the delivery address, and these planned dates and times of arrivals. And then there might be also an estimated date and time of arrival, which might be calculated from these planned times. And this packet delivery company was offering two different service levels for its service. The standard one was only read access, so only allowing GET requests, and the gold service level to also do patch requests to change certain attributes of these entities. And the service offerings were published on this iForTrust marketplace for the acquisition by these organizations like No Cheaper and Happy Pets. And yeah, and these shops, the difference between them that the Happy Pets was actually acquiring access to the premium gold offering, and the No Cheaper company was acquiring access only to the standard one. And finally, we had the customers, which are actual human users that after they checked out at the online shop and when some delivery orders have been created at the packet delivery company, then we're able to view and change these attributes of their delivery orders. So what had to be done before? Let's have a look first at the architecture of this whole use case. On the one hand, we have the marketplace consisting of different components. You've also seen yesterday. And then there's the organization of the packet delivery company, consisting of an instance of the context broker, which holds the entities of the different delivery orders. There's an identity provider for its employees, which also allowed these employees then to log in on the marketplace using their identity provider. Then there's a PEP proxy and PDP protecting the access to the context broker, and an authorization registry, which holds the policy information issued to the different companies like Happy Pets and No Cheaper. And what's also consisting in this architecture from the packet delivery company is a so-called activation service, which is actually a component that is proxying requests to the authorization registry and is required to allow the marketplace during the acquisition of offerings to create policies within the authorization registry of the packet delivery company. And finally, there was this demo portal application as application which the human users can enter in order to view and change their delivery orders. And then there are two environments for the two different shops of Happy Pets and Now Cheaper, also both having their individual identity providers. As you can see, each organization is even having two different identity providers because we splitted that for an identity provider for their company employees and a separate one for their customers to differentiate that if an employee now wants to log in at the marketplace in order to acquire an offering, it's using the company identity provider, and when a customer wants to log in at the packet delivery company portal, it was using the customer identity provider, for instance, of the Happy Pets organization. And also, both organizations have their own authorization registries where they store the policies assigned to their customers. In our setup, what I've shown before, we actually had a central one provided from iShare, but of course, every organization could set up their own registry. And there's also this trust authority, as I said, that is involved in every interaction between the different organizations. The marketplace, here more detailed view on the different components, consists on the one hand on different databases, reference implementation of the TM Forum APIs, so-called charging backend, and a component for the revenue settlement and sharing. All these components interacting with each other, storing data in these databases. And there's also a logic proxy, which provides the user interface of the marketplace and also orchestrates among the different APIs provided by the different components. But no further prerequisites were required regarding the marketplace. So for the trust authority, we are also using a central instance, a test instance provided by iShare, by the iShare satellite. What was already done before is that each participating organization was registered there, and there were also certificates and private keys issued to each of these organizations. And also each organization was assigned a specific EORI, also written down here for the different organizations. And this information must be known before to this trust authority, so that every organization, when there's a request coming in, can verify the status of the other organizations. It's a Happy Pets organization. As I said, there are two identity providers, one for the company employees, one for the customers. Also already did before was creating users at these identity providers. So one for the employee user at the company identity provider, which was then used for the employee user to log in at the marketplace, and also created two customer users. It's customer identity provider, one for the standard customer user and one for the gold customer user, which are required to then log into the portal application of the packet delivery company. Furthermore, there's the authorization registry. As I said, we are using a central instance, and there were already these policies created, which delegate the policy from Happy Pets to a certain customer to allow them, for instance, for the gold user, then to do these patch and get requests on specific attributes of their delivery orders. Also, what has been skipped was an actual shop system, because we already assumed that the customer has already registered at the Happy Pets shop and also ordered some products, so that there was already a pre-existing delivery order at the packet delivery company. Same for No Cheaper. The only difference that they only acquired the standard offering of the packet delivery company, and therefore would only be allowed to assign the standard policies to their customers, allowing only GET requests. At the packet delivery company, as I said, there is a demo application of the portal, what I've been shown. At the identity provider, there was already an employee user registered, which I was able then to log into the marketplace to create the offerings. And what also has been done before, to create these actual delivery orders already, so assuming there are already orders for the customers on the Happy Pets and No Cheaper shop. And this is how such entity looks like. So it has a specific ID, type delivery order, and certain attributes for the issue and destiny. There's some pinging. I don't know. And certain values for the planned and estimated dates and times of arrival. Also,
Dennis?
pardon? Yeah?
Sorry, your screen is gone. So.
Okay. Because I'm also hearing some sound. Back again?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you lost me?
I think the last step.
Okay. So this is an actual delivery order. This is how this looks like. Having a certain ID and certain attributes for destiny and these planned dates and times of arrivals. And these need to be created before on the context broker for this showcase of the demo. Then there's for the PEP proxy and PDP, we're actually using API Umbrella, what was also presented yesterday. And the API backend there, the specific backend added for the context broker with a certain authorization mode, which reflects the logic of comparing the policies stored in the different registries in order whether to allow customer access to the service or not. The authorization registry instance, as I said, we were using the central one from iShare, and in addition, this activation service, which is required for enabling the marketplace to create the policies there during the acquisition step. And for this activation service to work, there needs to be added an additional policy which states that the packet delivery company is issuing a policy to the marketplace, allowing them to do a post request to create delegation evidences, which are the actual policies. And this is something the activation service will check as soon as a request is coming in from the marketplace to create a certain policy. It will check whether the marketplace is actually allowed to create these objects on the authorization registry. Okay, then now let's look at the different steps presented in the demo and what happened technically in behind. Starting with the creation of an offering. So what we have seen was that an employee of the packet delivery company created an offering on the marketplace. What I've showed was only for the premium service, but the process is the same for the basic service offering. And what the user did at first was to requesting a login on the marketplace using its own IDP. So after selecting the identity provider on the login dialog, the employee was forwarded to its identity provider of its own organization. It entered its user credentials. And what then happens is that first the IDP validates against the trust authority whether the marketplace is actually a trusted party, and only if yes, it would allow the login to the marketplace using this identity provider, and then the login process is performed based on the OpenID Connect standard. After logging in, then I showed how to create the offering, first with the product specification, where I entered the information about, for instance, the service endpoint and what HTTP methods are actually allowed. And as you've seen on the UI, there were also possibilities to even add more information, descriptions, add further attachments, for instance, about the US data model and certain terms and conditions and pricing models and everything could be added. So after creation of the offering, and I showed how a company like the Happy Pets now acquired access to such service. And let's look into the process for the Happy Pets company. So this employee of the Happy Pets company is also requesting a login. So on the marketplace UI, it selected its own identity provider for logging in. Again, this IDP from Happy Pets will then first validate whether the marketplace is a trusted party at the trust authority, the iShare satellite, and then also login was performed based on OpenID Connect. And then the Happy Pets employee was presented the available offerings on the marketplace. Then I selected this premium service offering and performed the checkout process, including the payment details using PayPal. And after this checkout is completed, there are additional steps then happening in the background, because then the marketplace requested at the authorization registry, or more correct, at the activation service, now to register the Happy Pets organization being able to assign this premium service policies to its customers, which means it was getting a token from the registry. Here again, also the registry was checking against the trust authority whether the marketplace is a trusted party, and then issuing a token to the marketplace, and then using the token, the marketplace send a request now to the activation service in order to create now a policy at the authorization registry, stating that now packet delivery company is issuing policy now to Happy Pets, allowing them patch and get requests on these specific attributes on entities of type delivery order. And what also had to be done was to assign policies also to their customers at the authorization registry of Happy Pets. And this is also what I've shown on the registry UI, what I've already did before. For the No Cheaper company, the flow is basically the same. The only difference is in the policy that gets created. So the No Cheaper employee selected just the basic offering, and then in the background, the marketplace created a policy at the registry at packet delivery, stating that they issue policy to No Cheaper for doing GET requests on entities of type delivery order. Now the final step, the accessing the service. So now what I showed was that an actual customer of the Happy Pets company first logs in at the portal application of the packet delivery company. It's actually the same flow as when the employees logged in at the marketplace. So portal will verify whether the Happy Pets organization is a trusted party, and the IDP will ask the trust authority whether the portal application or the packet delivery company is a trusted party, and then also login is performed based on the OpenID Connect standard. And what then happens is that during this login, there's a JSON Web Token issued to the customer containing information about the authorization registry of Happy Pets. This is required later that the PEP proxy knows where to request the actual policies this customer has. Of course, this web token could already contain these user policies. This is also planned for future implementation, but currently this web token just contains the endpoints of this authorization registry and allowing to retrieve this information about this user. And then after logging in, customer was presented the details about its delivery order. And now when trying to change a certain parameter, like the planned day of arrival, now this portal was sending now such patch request to the PEP proxy. And in this request, in the header, there is this web token issued by the identity provider from the Happy Pets organization, issued to the customer. First, this proxy will validate the web token, and then perform a request against this authorization registry of Happy Pets, because in this web token there's the information on where to get the user policies from, and then requesting these from the registry. As I said, in case that the IDP already provides the policies in this web token during the sign-in process, this step would be obsolete, because then the policies would be part of the web token. But in the current implementation, this is requested from the PEP proxy here. And in addition, the PEP proxy checks at the registry of the packet delivery company whether Happy Pets was actually allowed to assign this premium service policy to its customers. And only if these two requirements are fulfilled, so that there's policy at the registry of packet delivery company allowing Happy Pets to do so, and also that there's a policy at the registry of Happy Pets allowing the customer to do these patch requests, then access is granted and the request is forwarded to the context broker to patch the actual entity. and then a confirmation is sent back to the application. Also to show again these two different policies and these two verifications performed by the PEP proxy. So the first one to check whether the customer itself is allowed to do this patch request on the delivery order. This is the policy the PEP proxy retrieved from the authorization registry at Happy Pets. And the second step is to check on the registry of packet delivery company whether Happy Pets actually was issued such policy. Then in the case of No Cheaper, the process is actually the same, but with different policies involved here. Because No Cheaper only acquired this basic service offering, only allowing their customers a read access, and also only allowing them to assign the standard service policy to its customers. So a request for changing something on their entities, the context broker should get rejected at the PEP proxy. And what I've also shown is that it got even rejected when No Cheaper would assign a policy allowing them to do patch requests at their own registry, because still at the registry at the packet delivery company, there's still on the organizational level a policy stating that No Cheaper is only allowed to delegate policies with a GET action. Okay, that's about the demo. Then in the last part, what I want to show is how to actually set up all the components of this use case example. And on the example now from on Kubernetes, I'm starting with the marketplace. Of course, there's a central instance now, but of course, everyone could also deploy a marketplace on their own because it's open source. What does one actually need for this? First of all, to deploy several databases and Elasticsearch with different Helm charts are available for them. And for the business API ecosystem itself, there's also a Helm chart provided. The different configuration parameters are supplied as values during deployment with Helm. And I've also showed you some resources about the business API ecosystem. When you download the slides again, then you have all the links. And for the moment, for the components of the business API ecosystem, there are some changes compared to the official release right now. So a specific branch is currently used, which will soon be merged into a new release. But for the moment, the implementations of this branch need to be used, or there are already the Docker images available under the fireware organization. As you can see here, for the charging backend and for the logic proxy components, there are currently specific release candidates available until these changes have been merged to a new release. And yeah, here basically the commands for those not familiar with Helm. You need to add the different repositories where the Helm charts are stored, and then perform Helm install. Best first to create some values file where you enter all these different configuration parameters, and then deploy the different components for the databases and the business API ecosystem itself. It also needs to be done for the marketplace is to install a certain plugin, because as you have seen during the creation of the product specification, on the page for creating a digital asset there were different asset types shown. One was this NGS ILD data service, and these different asset types in the marketplace are represented by certain plugins to be installed. And here's a link then to the specific plugin for this data service, and also information providing how to install these asset plugins to the marketplace. Then there needed to be deployed several instances of identity providers, namely Keywork, in the different environments of the different organizations. Also for Keywork, there's an Helm chart provided in our fireware Helm charts repository. Also, the different configuration parameters needs to be provided as values during the Helm deployment, and also Keywork requires a MySQL database, but of course, depending on your environment, you can also use previously deployed one, but needs to specify then in the config parameters which database to use for Keywork. So place the link to the implementation of the Keywork and then documentation. But also for Keywork, there were some changes with respect now to the IFO trust, and for the moment also there's a specific branch to be used, and also a certain Docker image release candidate right now until the Keywork changes are merged into a new release. Context broker needs to be deployed now for the service provider environment. There's also a Helm chart available under the fireware organization. The context broker requires a MongoDB database. We can also use one that was previously deployed and then needs to be specified in the configuration. So put here the link to the documentation of the Orion context broker, and this is how to add this fireware Helm repository and then to install an instance of Orion. And currently, I think the latest version is this build of the context broker Orion. Then for API Umbrella, that's taking place the part of the PEP proxy and PDP, protecting the access to the context broker. There's also an Helm chart available in the fireware Helm charts repository. Also, API Umbrella requires a MongoDB database and an Elasticsearch instance. But you could use the instruction as shown for the business API ecosystem. And you need a separate database within the MongoDB. And also put here the documentation implementation of API Umbrella. Also for API Umbrella, there's currently specific implementation in a certain branch written here, and which matches to this release candidate Docker image. And also these changes soon will get merged into a new main release. For the configuration at API Umbrella, what does one need to do is to create an API backend where you specify, so for instance, for this packet delivery service, where you specify as endpoint this Orion instance within your environment, for instance, on your Kubernetes cluster. Because what API Umbrella in the end is doing, it's accepting requests on the host of API Umbrella, which in this case was that umbrella.ifortrust.fireware.io, but was also used then by the packet delivery portal application, and then is proxying these requests to the backend host of the Orion in case that the authorization requirements are fulfilled. one thing one needs to do is to override the authorization header, because we are dealing with very large web tokens, and the web token sent in the header when to the request to the API umbrella, for instance, for patching now delivery order. This web token does not need to be forwarded also to the context broker. That's why this authorization header should be overwritten when proxying the request to Orion. And as shown earlier, there's a specific authorization mode in the API umbrella configuration, which is then dealing with the different policies from the authorization registries to check whether access is granted for a certain user. Then on the packet delivery company side, there was also the portal application, which is just a simple demo application I've showed for user interface to access these delivery orders stored at the context broker, but all these requests are proxied through the API umbrella here. And also this activation service was required, which is a separate component allowing the marketplace to create the policies at the authorization registry. And for these two components, there are also Helm charts provided under the I4Trust organization, and also put the GitHub links in the I4Trust organization with implementation of these components. And this is how you would add the I4Trust Helm charts repository and how to deploy these different components. And there are also Docker images provided for these components. So for the authorization registry and the scheme owner, as I said, we are using central instances provided by iShare. On the one hand, for the scheme owner, it's the iShare satellite. And there's also documentation about the API from the scheme owner. And as Rajiv already said, in order to get registered there and to retrieve your certificates and IDs, just contact him. And for the authorization registry, we're also using central test instance from iShare. But of course, one could also set up its own registry within the environment. There's also reference implementation available. We've put the link here and also the API documentation of this registry. And there are already also plans to integrate the authorization registry functionality into the keyword identity provider. Then finally, there are also two repositories with more detailed deployment instructions, as I've showed the slides before, and especially also example Helm configurations, which can be found at these links. Can also show this. So for instance, there's a fireware production on Kubernetes repository with examples on how to deploy an actual business API ecosystem with the databases and everything, and also providing examples for the values to be provided for the Helm deployment. And similar on there's some tutorials repository under the I4Trust organization, for instance, showing how to set up the data service provider, which is actually the actual example of this packet delivery company. It's written how to deploy this on Kubernetes, the keyword instance, the API umbrella, how to configure API umbrella, and also this activation service. And also here are examples on what values to provide for the Helm installment. Okay, yeah, and then for practical exercise, it's also said by Rajiv before, what we would like to see is the deployed setup of all these required components for an NGS ILD-based data service provider within your own use case you might define, and also to build up some kind of environment for a data consuming organization and demonstrating then how users accessing the service after such organization acquired access to such service provider. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. Any questions from the audience?
There will be also time tomorrow, I think, during the Q&A. Maybe some questions come when you think a bit more about all of this.
I would like to thank everyone for attending.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking, and I guess we will see you tomorrow with the Q&A session.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.